How much is too much for Pep Guardiola? Jose Mourinho reportedly eyes a new old job. Why avoiding defeat is perhaps the most important thing for Manchester United and Arsenal in the Premier League, and the Champions League returns. But are Spurs distracted ahead of their clash with Bayern Munich? All that and more, including a roundup of our Friday feels and of course, Emoji Mondays. I'm Paddy, filling in for Matt today, and this is your daily news. Everyone is saying they should, except for the man who matters most. Yes, apparently City will not spend in the January transfer window, despite the injuries that have plagued their squad. Now, we'll probably believe this when we see this, and here is why. Pep Guardiola said on Saturday that the club could not afford to spend in January, given they couldn't afford to do so in the summer. Now, a reminder for you guys watching and Pep himself, City spent around £150 million in the summer, mostly on Rodri and Joao Cancelo. Now, that £150 million was about 149 more than Liverpool did, and also more than Spurs, Arsenal and Manchester United. I guess it really depends on your definition of big. Either way, injuries to Aymeric Laporte and John Stones have left City skint at the back, with Guardiola's pairing of Fernandinho and Nicolas Otamendi probably the last that he thought he'd be fielding at this time of the season. Perhaps Çağlar Söyüncü is bargain basement enough for City. The Turkish international defender has been impressing at Leicester after needing a season to find his feet, and could be within City's budget at a relatively cheap £60 to £80 million. I guess it's all a matter of perspective. Now to Real Madrid, whose unconvincing start to the season continued with a dour 0-0 draw with City rivals Atleti on Saturday. The result keeps them top of the table, but only by a point. With 3 draws in 7 games this season, Madrid are lucky that, as bad as they've been, Barcelona have been worse. With the big money summer signings failing to fire, Zinedine Zidane is under pressure, and like the gentleman we know he is, Jose Mourinho is ready to swoop in and save Madrid's season if they think they need him. Mourinho has apparently rejected a host of jobs in the past couple of months, content to make headlines as a pundit rather than a coach. But you get the feeling that he'd return to football as quick as you'd like if Madrid came calling. But Zidane isn't done, of course, and a smashing of Club Brugge in the Champions League this week could come as some relief for the Frenchman. Now to Mourinho's former club Manchester United, who face Arsenal in a Premier League blockbuster on Monday night. Now, this game doesn't quite have the attraction it used to when guys like Vieira and Keane were running around, but it is still one to watch. In a packed Premier League table, Arsenal are 8th and Manchester United are 11th. So the outcome for any loser in this match is already big, even at this stage of the season. This is particularly evident when we keep the theme of managers under pressure. You know, Emery's tactics have been questioned at Arsenal, and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's United have just been plain bad for most of the season. Solskjaer may be without some big names in this one too. Paul Pogba, Anthony Martial, Luke Shaw and Marcus Rashford are all in doubt for the fixture, meaning he may need to get creative with the team sheet for the Gunners. Nonetheless, as much as United are struggling, they'd probably still elect to do without Alexis Sanchez if given the opportunity. Now, Sanchez of course left Arsenal for Manchester United, but after a tough couple of seasons at Old Trafford is now on loan at Inter Milan. Now, Sanchez actually managed to score his first goal for his new club in the 3-1 win over Sampdoria, only to be sent off a few minutes later. That's the sort of luck that Sanchez has had in the past couple of seasons. He's the kind of guy who'd fall into a bathtub of lollipops and come up sucking his thumb. The Champions League returns this week, of course, and there are no bigger games than Tuesday's trip for Bayern Munich to Tottenham. But are Spurs a bit distracted? More on that in a second. This one should have goals in it, especially if Hugo Lloris keeps giving them away like he did in the win against Southampton on Saturday. Bayern were equally generous in their 3-2 win over Paderborn, but at least they have Robert Lewandowski in smashing form. The Pole has a whopping 10 goals in 6 league matches this season, adding to his tally with 1 on Saturday. David Alaba is also potentially going to return for Bayern, while Spurs have no fresh injury concerns after Saturday's win. But are Spurs focused on this match? The news over the weekend is that they are considering hiring Gareth Southgate if Mauricio Pochettino is to leave the club at some point. Now, Pochettino has been linked with both Manchester United and Real Madrid, but is Southgate the answer for Spurs and the club's fans? And those Spurs fans seem rather unconvinced. Southgate has impressed as England coach, but his record in club football as the coach of Middlesbrough is rather less impressive. Let's watch this space. That will do. And now to our wrap up of Friday Feels. And I'm delighted to say that Matt was way off base with his predictions for the weekend. He predicted Chelsea would beat Brighton by 3 goals or more, and of course that didn't turn out to be true, but even better was his fantastically entertaining prediction for the Madrid derby on Saturday, which was anything but. Now, in his defence, as much as I hate to say it, you guys seem to struggle as well in a tough weekend to predict. Only a few, such as Jose Rodriguez, Roblox and more, got some of the predictions right. He predicted the 2-0 win to Chelsea correctly. And finally to Emoji Monday and our player of the weekend. This was a tough one. Marco Verratti of PSG against Bordeaux was dominant, as was Jamie Vardy for Leicester in the thumping of Newcastle. But instead we turned to the Bundesliga with Kai Havertz picking up a goal and an assist in Bayer Leverkusen's 3-0 win over Augsburg on Saturday. We're coming to expect performances like this from Havertz, who despite playing his best football as an advanced midfielder, now has 26 goals and 20 assists in just 96 Bundesliga games. At just 20, it's no wonder some of the biggest clubs in the world are looking his way. Now to the man who lowered his colours, come on down, Serge Aurier. Aurier is hardly a walk-up start to Spurs, despite their problems at right back, so getting sent off in this sort of manner is dumb for a lot of reasons. And lastly, to our best performance of the weekend, and apologies to Leicester and Schalke, but this one goes to Inter Milan. As mentioned before, Inter won 3-1 over Sampdoria to stay undefeated and top of the Serie A table. Inter's big name signings, such as the aforementioned Alexis Sanchez, are still bedding down at the club, but so far so good under Antonio Conte, with more to come. But that's it for today's Daily News. Thanks for joining us. Let us know below what you think of our Emoji Mondays, and we'll see you tomorrow.